Jujutsu Kaisen. Chapter 267 spoilers are here. KUGISAKI NOBARA is back, and the fight finally ends in this chapter. As always, a massive shout out to Miyamura for providing the leaks. Now, sit back, relax, and let's go through it all. The chapter begins with Yuta and Gojo discussing while doing body swap training. Yuta asks Gojo to give him the final Sukuna finger so that he can make Rika eat it and copy Sukuna's Shrine Cursed technique. But Gojo declines Yuta's request, and since they are doing switch training, Gojo is actually in Yuta's body here and vice versa. Gojo says even though the final Sukuna finger can fulfill Yuta's copy cursed technique requirement, it's still not enough to analyze Shrine Cursed technique info. Yuta agrees to it because even with cursed speech, he still needed Inumaki's input on how to use it. Gojo says, "I don't think it's a very smart decision to lose our connection with Sukuna," but Yuta doesn't understand what Gojo is saying. On the other hand, Gojo adds, "It's a gamble, if I say it like Hikari. It's the heat. And considering what I mentioned in the intro and one strong theory, I think I know where this is going." Since the release of the previous chapter, a lot of fans guessed that the last page was a hint to Nobara's comeback where she can use resonance on Sukuna's last finger. But at the time, I thought this was just cope, since Nobara was confirmed to be dead multiple times. Even Gege confirmed she's not coming back. But what do you expect from a massive troll like Gege? He just pulled the biggest Uno reverse card ever, and you'll understand why later. Anyway, Yuta says the requirement to copy a curse technique is to make Rika consume a part of the subject's body. The quantity and what part of the body part that needs to be consumed depends on the subject he's copying from and number of times he'll use it. Yuta says, "You can think of it as if I want to copy a strong cursed technique. I need to take in a part of a Jujutsu sorcerer's body that is pretty fatal to them. But even if it's a fatal part of the body, I can fulfill the technique's requirement by using a binding vow to limit the use." Yuta continues to say that when the subject regenerates the body part with reverse curse technique that Rika ate, then from that point on, the body part that Rika ate will become useless and he can't fulfill the kopie, cursed technique's requirement. Yuta adds that he used Inumaki and Hana's arms because it was determined that they couldn't heal their arms anymore using reverse curse technique and modern science. Also, Yuta took a part of Charles's ribcage to copy his cursed technique. Hikari assures Charles that he will be healed later. So, essentially Yuta is a butcher. And the sad thing is, even doing all of this, he had to go even further and take over Gojo's body to try and defeat Sukuna. However, I think there's one important detail we need to explain here. I know that at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 0, we saw Yuta use cursed speech while Inumaki lost his hand during the Shibuya incident, but at the time Gege didn't plan for the rest of the series. I mean, at first he planned on Yuta to be the main character. So, there are a lot of inconsistencies between Volume 0 and the rest of the series, and I think this is Gege's explanation to Yuta using cursed speech. Now, back to the chapter, Mei asks if Yuta is informed about Yuji and Sukuna's resonance from Todo. Yuta says he knows about it and that's why they are gonna execute this plan right before they fight Sukuna, and they'll inform Yuji only the bare minimum, and here they are referring to the connection between Yuji and Sukuna and how they can't share the entire plan with Yuji because there is a chance of Sukuna knowing about it. Yuta says to Yuji, "Even though you can't use it now, your body is already engraved with Sukuna's cursed technique." There's no doubt about that, since Gojo Sensei already confirmed this with his 6 eyes. Back to the present, Sukuna notices that Yuji is missing one more finger other than the one that he tore off to transfer himself to Megumi, and then he realizes that Yuta bluffed him. He realizes that Yuta used Yuji's finger to copy the Shrine Cursed technique. Utahime and Gakuganji are present at the place where Sukuna's final finger is sealed. Gaku asks if Sukuna's finger, a special grade cursed object, which can withstand any physical or jujutsu processing, can be penetrated by that technique. Utahime says through a binding vow that by removing the objective of destroying the cursed object and focusing solely on applying the technique's effect, maybe she can pull it off. But Utahime is concerned that it's only been a short time since she woke up. Cut to Nobara, saying "Rejoice boys," and she uses resonance on Sukuna's final finger. Sukuna's whole body convulses as he's hit by Nobara's resonance. Sukuna realizes it's Nobara's curse technique and starts freaking out. This is bad. My cursed technique. I can't open my domain. At this rate, the kid's sure hit effect will... Yuji is in tears as he realizes that Nobara is still alive, and we see Nobara addressing Yuji as she says, "How's that for a puppy, you idiot?" Yuji doesn't give Sukuna time to recover and instantly hits him with his soul dismantle. Yuji knees Sukuna right on his face and punches him hard, which makes Sukuna throw up. But Sukuna hasn't given up yet as he punches back Yuji. Sukuna says, "Did you really think you could peel me off with your makeshift domain?" Sukuna thinks Yuji has surpassed his limits for a while, as he's not even healing his injuries with reverse curse technique, and since the domain consumes a lot of cursed energy, it's over for Yuji. But Sukuna is confused, as Yuji hits him with his special delayed second impact punch. Yuji locks in, and with a coal vase he says, "Let's put an end to this ever-cycling curse, Sukuna." Then Yuji hits Sukuna with a black flash. The chapter ends here with no break next week, and we get the editor's comment, "The end to a long battle." So, since it's official that Jujutsu Kaisen will end in 4 more chapters, by the end of September, it's safe to say that this is it for Sukuna. I think in the next chapter we'll get the conclusion to Hikari's fight. However, I wonder how the culling games will end and whether we'll get to see the merger or not.